going on, fellow cokeheads? This is another quick peek
Ah,
from yours truly, James, and our main man, Mike. What's going on, Mike?
not much. I'm good. I,
If you guys can't guess already, today we're going to be doing Cocaine Bear.
yeah,
Go
I,
ahead,
I
Mike.
chose to go with the interactive movie experience, so that's
5D.
I won't say anything else other than
wow,
that.
wow! Toronto really has some. They allow a
That's
lot in
right.
theaters.
It was the ticket was
So
$20, and then the 8 ball was $100, and
you, listen, this is all jokes, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not come at us. All jokes. All right. So today we're going to be talking about Cocaine Bear. We're going to go over the movie cast and synopsis. And then we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do a portion of it will be spoiler free because this movie is still hot in the theaters and it probably reach digital pretty
oh,
soon. So for folks that just want to
it's
get
out
our
on digital
take,
already. Yeah.
or it is? Okay. So for folks that just want to get our take on it before they actually, purchase the
Right.
or rent, you'll have you'll have a couple of minutes of hearing us our takes on it spoiler free. Then we're gonna get to the full spoiler review. That's gonna include, the plot, production, all that, the funny bits, our favorite moments, and then we're gonna close it out with reception, box office, and then our grades.
Sounds good.
So let's go over the movie
All right.
cast, Mike. My half-assed internet research, which I kind of knew some of this because the cast was making the late night talk shows, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Stephen Colbert. They're already making their rounds, so I kind of knew. The director was Elizabeth
Mm-hmm.
Banks. For those of you who don't know, she played in the Modern Family TV show on ABC.
She's Granny Panties from
The writer,
what's that movie? Jesus.
confusing her with the actress from Modern
Yeah,
Family.
no, she was on she
Yes, I
was
know
on
you're talking
Modern
about.
Family as well. But she was like,
Okay,
she does a lot of movies. She was on Man on a Ledge. She was in Brightburn. She was in
she was the mother of
yeah.
Brightburn.
But the
Yeah.
big one we probably know her from. Oh, Zack and Miri Make a Porno. Remember that one, Kevin Smith movie? That's the one.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
She was
Yes.
Granny Panties in that. That's where I remember her from. So anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, granny panties. Yeah, she's done quite a bit. She's also wow, that said she was in The Boys but uncredited. Interesting.
Yeah, she
Charlie's
directed
Angels.
that reboot
Yeah,
that
she's
nobody
also in
liked,
that
and
show too.
she blamed male toxicity. But honestly,
Male
it was just
toxicity.
a bad movie, man. It was just a bad sequel. So
It
yeah.
was. Well, we're about to find out whether she did well or not with
Hmm.
this one. The rest of the cast is a motley crew of some names you've heard before and some names you haven't. We'll start with Ray Liotta,
Rest in peace.
who had
Yeah,
passed away after
yeah.
filming. Rest in peace. Passed away after filming, and it's kind of ironic. This is the movie that's going to be tied to his, as his final movie in his
I know
legacy. Kerry
this is gonna
Russell.
go down for him like my man after Street Fighter, Raul Julia, man.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Yes.
That's not the way you want to go
Oh,
out, you know.
that's not how you want to book in your
Yeah,
career. That is
man.
true.
Anyway,
Ray
yeah.
Liotta. He plays a pretty good role here in this movie. Kerry Russell is one of our lead characters,
I like Kerry
protagonists.
Russell.
She was in this show, The
Yes.
Americans, that I
Hmm.
watched. And when we get to the spoiler full review, I got to give you a
All
little
right.
cameo in relation to her. O'Shea Jackson Jr., who's been making his rounds in Hollywood now, Ice Cube's
Yeah.
son.
Right.
Um, he plays a pretty good role there too. And then some of these other names you may or may not have heard. Jesse Tyler
From Modern
Ferguson,
Family as well.
who was in
Yeah.
Modern Family, yes. Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who was Clay Davis in The Wire.
Yeah.
Shit, that
Yeah,
guy.
man. I like him. He's good too.
Uh, Margot,
Yeah.
he is. He played that role pretty
Yeah.
to T. Margot Martindale, who was the ranger, the park ranger. She was also in
Yeah.
Americans. She played with Kerry
She does a
Russell in
lot
The
of
Americans.
character acting in TV shows and stuff. So everybody, like, you'll see her on screen and
Correct.
go, "Oh yeah, I recognize her. I just don't know her name." You know, she's one of those actresses. Yeah.
Yes, her her IMDb is full with like credits for from Law and
Yeah,
Order to modern movies you won't even recognize her in.
exactly.
And then quite a few other characters. The only other person I want to mention is this guy who's been viral for a while, and I only know of him because Chris from the Hero Speak used to always send me these little clips on YouTube, and it's Scott Seiss. I believe
Yeah,
that's how I pronounce his name. S
so
E I S
he
S.
was famous. He's a stand-up comedian, and he's famous for his TikToks about working in IKEA and what it's like, and people coming up to him and asking him stupid
Yes.
questions. I'll post a little clip after this, as you can see what I'm talking about.
I'm telling all my friends not to shop here. Tell them. You think I want 5 other yous running around the store? Have them call me, I'll tell them. You think you hate this place more than me? I work here.
But yeah, I follow him on TikTok. He's so funny. He's a real funny guy. If you get a chance to go see a stand-up, definitely go do that.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He plays sort of that deadpan humor where it's kind of
Right.
straight, but it's just hilarious what he's
Yeah,
saying.
he loves.
He did that
He's
pretty
he's
well
the
in
guy
this
that
role as
wants
well.
to point out how idiotic the situation is and be sarcastic about it, and he's that kind of guy. Like, do you realize what a dumbass you are right now? You know that kind of.
You want me to
Yeah,
speak to my manager? Well, I haven't seen my manager in 2 weeks, Bucko. When you find him, tells me my paycheck is late.
exactly.
So you get this illustrious cast of Motley Crue
Hey,
and
you
Cocaine
forgot. You
Bear,
forgot.
and it's pretty
Hey, you
straightforward
forgot
movie.
young Han Solo. Did you mention young Han Solo? Aldrin. What's
Because you
his
know I
name?
hate the solo movie, right? You know that.
Alden
Alden
Enrin.
Reich,
Yeah, I'm gonna let
whatever.
you pronounce that one.
Or we'll let Chris pronounce it, and we'll edit. Chris's voice is going to be
Yeah,
edited over here
that's
somehow.
right.
Deep fake it.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yes, the guy who played Solo in the Solo Star Wars movie is another one of the lead
Yeah.
characters in this
So
movie.
just to mention, yeah.
So you guys have seen the trailer. The movie is basically an oddball group of cops, criminals, tourists, and young teens converge on a Georgia forest where a huge black bear goes on a murderous rampage after unintentionally ingesting cocaine. Based on a somewhat of a true story. When we say based, the real story is the bear died within 3 hours. The bear had a massive heart attack, and it was like maybe 2 kilos of
Yeah.
cocaine, and it died. Unlike the movie where it lived to rampage for a whole day and had like 50 kilos worth of coke in
Yeah,
its system.
in this version,
Um,
the bear basically is a superhero stumbling upon a chemical formula like the Flash.
Wait till we get. Oh, so save that for the
Yeah,
spoiler. The spoiler
yeah.
section. Spoiler free, real quick for those who are thinking about seeing it. My first impression after the credits roll was this movie seemed to be for me a combination of a Sharknado
Hmm.
movie and Jason Friday the 13th
Yeah,
movie, where
yeah.
there's some moments in the first act. There was like a slack, like the killer is behind closed doors. You don't know. You open it squeaky, whatever. You see the bodies, and then the hilarious moments of Sharknado, where it defied physics for an animal, and they did it with the CGI bear, which I'm pretty sure was CGI. What was your take? Spoiler,
Yeah,
I'm
so
free
spoiler free,
of
yeah,
this
this
movie.
was what I would call Land Shark the movie, basically. If they filmed Jaws in a forest.
Land Shark.
So it's that kind of suspense. Of course, Jaws is a more serious movie than this was. This one was more of a throwback to the best thing I could compare it to because it's funny. It's a funny movie, but my best comparison would be something like Gremlins, that type of '80s horror comedy movie, or
That's a
you know
that's a
what I'm
good
talking about, those
comparison.
creature type horror movies where there's a lot of
Yeah,
funny bits and the horror is not it's not too
arachnophobia.
gory and it's not all straight
Yeah.
comedy. It's
Well,
not a farce.
there's a
There
couple
were
moments
some,
where I was watching with
yeah,
Eric, and it was like pretty graphic
hmm
kills, pretty graphic kills. So when I mentioned the Sharknado portion, I don't want to downplay this movie. Yes, it had some silly, outrageous animal um, scenes that reminded me of Sharknado, but to Mike's point, it was more in a storytelling like the Gremlins, Arachnophobia, where it wasn't just mindless chainsaw cutting through a shark. Although there was some, again, there were some moments in this movie that was that
yeah,
over the top, but it wasn't the crux of the
right.
entire movie. So I think that concludes the end of our spoiler-free segment for those of you who haven't seen it.
Quickly, we can. The
give it
plot
a
of the
shot.
movie is this cocaine gets dumped in the woods from an airplane, and the drug dealer is trying to recover it, and then the cops are also trying to recover it. So they basically all converge. But meanwhile, you got these tourists, and the bear obviously is eating the cocaine, sniff the cocaine. So that's where the chaos ensues. Yeah.
Yeah. There, you got it. You got it. All right. So, for those of you who still want to see this movie, don't want to get spoiled, you can pause right here, like and subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment after you've seen the movie, and give us your feedback as well.
Yeah. Come back and watch the spoiler review. Yep.
Spoiler. Yeah.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
Spoiler review. Okay. First cameo. So Kerry Russell's husband in real life is Matthew Rhys, who was also in The Americans with Margot, who played the park ranger. In the beginning of the movie, the park ranger who's high on his cocaine, that's played by Matthew Rhys.
Okay, yeah.
That's the actor, which I didn't know until I was doing my half-ass.
Yeah, he plays the Thornton guy.
So the beginning of the movie starts. Yeah, this dude clearly is high on his own supply. Biggie said, "Never get high on your own supply," and he knocks himself out, falls out the plane without the parachute deploying. The rest of the plane and the cocaine, the 50 kilograms of cocaine, which was I think some street value of $14 million, gets dumped into this forest in Georgia. So we mentioned earlier how all these different groups are trying to converge to find the cocaine. The bear at this point now has ingested a good amount of cocaine and is high. And then it starts to meet people by people and picking them off like a Jason or Michael Myers. So, Mike, what was your first impression, like the first portion of this movie, from the moment that the plane crashed, the intro scene, to when the bear starts stalking and making his first kill?
Yeah, so as soon as the dude was dumping the stuff out of the plane and then put on his parachute and was getting ready to jump and then hit his head on the plane, I was like, all right, we're in for a ride here. I know what to expect from this movie here. It's not going to take itself too seriously, but it's going to be serious enough. So, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it was a wild ride from beginning to end, basically. And yeah, definitely. Yeah. Some wild moments that we'll get into.
So some of the things that I noticed in the beginning is, I guess most of the budget for this movie was really on the bear itself, because the CGI. I'm not saying the CGI looked like James Cameron Avatar like, but it didn't look too wonky. There's some moments like the Sharknado moments where when he's jumping. You see the trailer. It's jumping towards the. Yeah, that's clearly like some animation toonish stuff, but. The first group of hikers that the guy is kind of in love with his girlfriend.
Yeah, the Europeans.
Scenic nature look, and then he's focusing and he sees the black bear, and then the bear looks at you. The bear seems to have like human features, where it's looking at you like you're in trouble now, and comes at him when there's lightning speed, and then from there it's just like, so the park ranger, played by, I mentioned her name earlier, Margot Martindale. Ranger Liz. She carries a big portion of the first half of this movie. And it seems like they're putting her not as a buffoon clown type of person that's tripping over themselves, but she's like an old grizzled, no pun intended, old wizened type of park ranger who's like, I hate these young kids, they're the environment, blah, blah, blah. While she's also trying to flirt with Jesse Ferguson's character,
which is an odd character for
environmentalist.
Him. But her character though, she was also like disappointed in life because she's where she is. Like she mentions in the movie that I could have been at Yellowstone already, but I'm stuck here.
Yellowstone, but I'm stuck here because of you kids, you meddly kids. So, her character is the first to get attacked by our cocaine bear, our protagonist, I'd like to say. Meanwhile, there's a side story with O'Shea Jackson's character and Solo, who are looking for the cocaine, and they bump into these young teenagers, young hooligans. Right. And I think that side story they put that story in there to kind of make the movie feel more realistic and not too over the top. Where, for example, O'Shea Jackson comes in the bathroom when he arrives at the park, and these kids, again, these are the kids who are terrorizing tourists in the park, decided, oh, they want to rob O'Shea Jackson. For those of you who haven't seen him in the NWA movie or Den of Thieves, not Den of Thieves, was it Den of Thieves?
Hmm.
I think it was no, it was the movie where he was the heist to rob the jewels. He's a very prominent, big looking young African American male, and these three skinny toothpick
Yeah.
16-year olds were thought that they were going to take him down. So they give us, the movie gives us a scene where we're not worried about what the Cocaine Bear is doing. It's just a straight ass beating by O'Shea Jackson's character. So from there, we start getting a more merging of the stories. Kerry Russell's character, she has a daughter, and her daughter decides to play hooky beginning of the movie with her
Yeah.
best friend, who's a very funny character. These are two preteens, and for those of you who know me in Harris Peak, I hate child actors for a lot of movies, but I think these two are different because Carrie's daughter played. Her name is Dee Dee, and Henry. Dee Dee and Henry. They decided to play hooky in the same park that everyone's about to converge. And they also happen to run into Cocaine Bear. They get split. So Carrie's looking for her daughter, and Carrie finds Henry. And Henry actually had persuaded Dee Dee to take some of the coke prior to Carrie getting there. So I had to Google, can you get high eating cocaine? I mean, I've never used the drug, so I had to look at it for myself, and it was hilarious that they put these two preteens in a situation where not just the bear is on coke, but also these kids now are on coke, and they're running away from this bear. All right, so let's fast forward to the moment where I think the plot of the movie really ramps up is to when Clay Davis's character arrives, and he sees that the bag of coke is in the gazebo, and now you've got the one of the teens that was trying to be the hooligan of the park, O'Shea Jackson's character, and Solo's character. Now, the bear seems to be going on a crash of being high. And now these characters are trying to figure out what to do. So to me, Mike, and I'm going to let you give me your feedback. I thought this was, it was played well because you would expect the bear to go immediately on a rampage against these three and like cause havoc. But they decided to slow the pace of the movie down and have the bear be crash on coke and have the characters have a moment where they're trying to figure out what they need to do. Did that part of the movie work for you, or you're just like, get this bear high again? Like,
Well, I mean, obviously we had to have, like, we can't just have them. It would have been boring to me if it was just a high bear killing everybody, like a Jason movie, right? Like that doesn't. I like that we had some depth to the characters, so it did kind of work for me. I don't know about Han Solo's character though. It just seemed, I get that he lost his wife or whatever and the whole thing with the tattoo,
Joan.
But it just seemed like,
Yeah,
I don't know, I guess he abandoned, basically gave up on his kid for a while, and
his
O'Shea
kid,
was trying to get him
Gabe.
back on track and all kinds of stuff. That character didn't work for me as much. I did like O'Shea's character more. I did like Ray Liotta's character, obviously the tough, drug boss, whatever kind of guy. Most of the characters did work for me. Kerry Russell's character was great, and later on, I'll give you, there's a good comparison between her character and the actual bear itself, right? So, when we
we'll
get to the end,
third,
yeah. And so I did like her character, and the kids, I'm with you. We don't normally like kid actors, not the kid actors themselves, but just their performances. Let's specify. I don't have a problem with kids, obviously,
correct.
but sometimes their performances just come off as
Yes.
annoying. And I thought these kids did a good job, especially when they got to the one kid was trying to convince the girl that he had tried cocaine. He was like, you just got to eat it like a tablespoon. They had some funny moments.
It had me Googling it too.
When he was in
That
the
was
tree
funny.
and all that stuff. So, I mean, that stuff worked for me here.
So going into finishing the second act, there's a lot of, I think, stunts. I'm calling them stunts that that director Elizabeth Banks opts to use here, which I thought worked really well. You've got multiple stories happening, right? We talked about the bear itself, the tourist. We talked about the the hooligan gangs with O'Shea's character and Eddie. I think Eddie was the name of his friend who lost his wife. And then you have the park ranger and what they're going through back at the cabin, right? So now the bear is attacking that group. And this brings us our character. We talked about the Mr. Viral. Scott Seiss, who plays the character
Yeah.
Tom, and Kyeum Kim, who plays Beth. They're like the emergency response ambulance corps that arrives on site. And something that's very classic I haven't seen in a long time, where you think the threat is the killer or an animal beyond your vision, but the threat can also be a colleague within your own immediate surroundings. So they're all in this cabin, and they're fearful of this bear. But the hooligan kids was just beaten up by O'Shea Jackson's character, so they're fearful and threatened by O'Shea's character. Meanwhile, the park rangers is just almost got mauled by the bear, and they hear a knock on the door, and one of the kids opens up the door, and it's the bear, and he's confused because he has up to that moment he hasn't seen the bear yet, and then the ranger Liz shoots wildly and blows out this dude's head. So you thought I was waiting for the gag to be the bear to kind of like he opens the door and the bear chops on him, but the director decides to switch it on us, and he gets half his head blown out in a very gory fashion by the park ranger, by the human, colleague of his. So they do a couple stuff like this throughout the rest of the movie, which I thought worked really well. Well, the threat isn't just always the bear; it could be another one. So I'm going to take you real quick before I give you a chance to speak. Is the next scene that happens there is back at the gazebo with Clay Davis's character, O'Shea's character, where they're at a Texas standoff. The bear's not even there yet, right? Going back, and they're shooting at each other. Did any of that stuff work for you, or did you feel like, again, you just wanted to get to the bear?
Yeah, so I think at that point, that one almost kind of dragged on a bit too long for me. Like, I get they were at a standoff and this and that, but like the whole part where the bear lies down on him, passed out, and they're all just like, okay, yeah, we get it. Let's move on. Like, it was funny for like 30 seconds, and then after that, it was just, okay, let's get the bear moving or something already, right? So that part kind of,
I can see that.
For me, the best scenes in this movie took place at the ranger station, between the park ranger and the skateboard kids and Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Also the scene, I think my favorite scenes in this movie were with the ambulance crew, with the EMS. So those were probably my favorite bits in this movie. Like everything else, it could give or take.
Let's get to... Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, that moment with the bears, conked out on the coke, probably could have been cut down to maybe 90 seconds or 2 minutes. They could have shortened that up, tightened that up. All right, so the third act, the final act. We'll just get into it. All the different characters meet up, the ones who survive to the final act. Ray Liotta's character is there to collect on the coke. He's forcing, and I keep saying O'Shea Jackson, but O'Shea is being played David. Yeah, so he's David
This
and
is where
Eddie.
Chris comes and go,
Work for
how
Ray
dare they
Liotta's
call
character.
him Dave?
No.
That's a throwback to our other pod, folks.
Inside joke. So they're here. They're trying to get the coke. Kerry Russell finds her daughter and Henry. They find the two kids in a cave, and we find out that there's another set of animals in this movie, and it's twin cubs, baby bears. And what's the old adage? Never come between a mother bear and a cub.
And this was where my comparison between Kerry Russell's character and the bear comes in, because
Go ahead.
Kerry Russell, when they're in the waterfall and then Ray Liotta and the guys show up, she goes into mama bear mode. Her only instinct is to protect the kids, and that's exactly what Cocaine Bear has to do in this situation as well, because Ray's threatening the little cubs. So you can see the comparisons there.
That's a great, because it was her and the two kids, and it was the bear and his two kids. And then I'll throw you another bone in here. Ray Liotta's character, whose son is there, whose grandson he was supposed to be protecting, he wasn't doing that. and he was basically disowning his son at the
Right.
edge of the cliff. So they're showing you two quote unquote parents who are willing to do whatever it takes to protect
Yep.
their kids, and one parent who's just like, "Give me the damn coke. We got to make
Oh,
this
exactly. Yeah.
money." So this is where the Sharknado part of comparison comes into play, because the bear is shot, bear falls. It looks like it's a death
Yeah.
fall, and then through all the shooting between Kerry Russell's character Ray Liotta, they hit a couple more kilos of coke, sprinkles down, and it lands on the snout
This
of
is
the
what
mama bear,
this is
who's now
this is
getting-
what I called the Popeye moment of the movie.
Yes. I said the same thing to Eric, not realizing Eric doesn't even know what Popeye is, but I said that, and they showed the
Yep.
pupils dilating, like
It was like Bruce Banner turned into the Hulk.
to Hulk. It was like you got World War
Yep.
Hulk bear, and yeah, so the bear took care of business with this cracked out baby
Yep.
cubs too, who were also
Oh man,
on
yeah.
coke.
So in the end, the bear winds up gutting Ray Liotta's hanging from a branch or something, trying to grab his cocaine.
And then the babies are eating it like it's pasta.
Oh man,
Pasta
Yep.
linguine. Yeah, that's the comparison I
Uh-huh.
had. So I think in the final scenes, it's where it gets a little heartwarming, where you see the fact that Eddie and David, O'Shea Jackson's
Mhm.
character, and Solo, his dad is dead. You want to say he took part of his dad's killing, patriarchy, whatever, patricide. And they kind of reconcile their relationship as friends, and he's like, "I'm there for you,
Yeah.
whatever. Your tattoo will heal, replace it." He lost 2 fingers. He's like, I'm like, where the hell is his fingers? By the way, supposed to put that on ice. Kerry Russell walks with her, with Henry and what's the name of her daughter again?
Dee Dee?
Henry and Dee Dee, yes. So they're walking, and they walk past the ambulance stretcher of dead park ranger Liz. It's like, I want to take a look at it, and he's like, "Am I gonna have a habit? Do I need to go to rehab?" And these are funny lines that normally are not that funny, but to hear a 12, 13-year-old kid played well by the, I gotta give shout outs. Again, I'm not a fan of most of the time young child actor performances, but Christian Convery, Henry, with a deep Southern accent. I guess they were in Georgia. It made sense. Although no one else's accent seemed like it. He seemed like the only one that got the assignment and knew what to do. I'm from Georgia. I'm going to have a Southern accent. So they walk off before the credits roll. The bears are frolicking, and then another set of tourists are arriving, and they're doing the same thing. They're, again, why people out there, the nature lovers, use smart ways of doing things, and there's dumb ways.
Well, I was surprised too that
like they're sitting there.
Nobody called in, animal control to like find this freaking bear that killed how many people? Right? They wouldn't. They wouldn't have let that bear go.
Do you remember in the plot twist that didn't make any sense? Officer Reba, who was working for Clay Davis's character, who wound up actually working for the drug dealers and backstabbed them. She said at the end, because she still survived, she was like, "I'm going to call for backup." And I'm thinking, for backup, you should be arrested. You could try to help. You got your boss killed, not directly, but you were part of him getting killed and shot, and you were working with the drug dealers to
so I was thinking about that too when she. I was thinking about that when she said that, and I was like, okay, so she's gonna call it in like she came looking for her partner, and then found this whole mess, and then
yes, so she's gonna falsify.
Play it off
so
like,
you may not even be an animal attack.
She's gonna play it off like I just got here and everything was like this, so you guys figure it out.
Must have been the cartels. The cartels must have came in trying to get their coke back, and all this death and mayhem you see here, that's the cartels. You know how they are.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this movie before I go over the box office reception?
No, like I said, it's not a serious horror movie like, but like we see like a James Wan type horror movie or something like that. It's a fun ride. It's a throwback to the 80s, horror comedies.
There you go. I don't know. Did you say that
I think
before? The throwback
yeah,
to
I,
the 80s
I think I
part.
mentioned it in the
Yes.
beginning. Like
Yeah.
Gremlins, like
That's
that
exactly
type,
it.
right? So,
All right. This being a quick peek, let's end this quickly. Grades. I'll let you go first, sir.
all right. I enjoyed this. It's not much of a story there. I did enjoy it for what it was. It's a quick car comedy romp through the forest. The Cocaine Bear itself was great. Uh, Good performances all around. I'm not going to complain too much.
Cocaine Bear itself was great. He
That's
gets an
right.
Oscar nomination next year.
And then we'll see an article next year about how we are fat shaming the bear. So, but anyway,
Yeah, and then Peter will come at us.
yeah. So I had some issues with the editing of the movie. Like some scenes didn't seem like it was in the right place at the right time. I don't want to get into too much.
Yeah, I didn't want to focus on production today. Okay.
So I think I'm gonna give this a C plus. That's my grade on this one.
Wow, that's why I wanted you to go first because I was afraid that my grade might lean you one way or another. But lo and behold, we agree.
Yeah.
C plus. That's the grade that I had in my mind right after I watched it, and I looked at Eric. Eric nodded confirmation. C plus was his grade as well. So I wasn't sure if you're gonna do a lower or higher, but yeah, C plus. It's not a super well written movie. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be purely enjoyment, like like you said, in the '80s comedy horror thrillers, and it did exactly that. I'm not gonna nitpick the CGI here too much. I'm not gonna nitpick the guy Solo who continues to give us terrible performances in everything he's in. I'm not gonna go there. I am going to say that if they do a sequel, like, because, Sharknado started going downhill after the first one, is with bigger budget, I hope they're not making the story less, of what it was in the first one. If they do a sequel in a couple of years. Like, because that if they do a sequel, they're going to have a bigger budget now. It's going to be, alligator bear in the Everglades of Florida, and then walking through Miami nightclubs with the chain around his neck. Yeah, so all right, that being said, Mike, tell our fans and subscribers and those who's watching us for the first time where they continue to get our feedback for movies like Cocaine Bear or other movies of similar nature.
Yeah, so let us know what you think of Cocaine Bear. If you enjoyed it or not. Of course, we're all over the internet. Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell in the corner to get notifications and leave a comment below. So don't forget, leave a comment. Let us know.
Yes, again, I reiterate, for those of you who have not seen it, come back, watch this in full, give us your comments. And for those of you who were lucky enough to see it, whether you saw it in a movie theater or at home, because I'm curious about people's experiences, because you and I both saw it at home. I think seeing it in a movie theater probably would have made it more enjoyable because of the laughter of the audience and all that cackling, the group experience. Probably the group experience would have made this a better experience for me. Maybe my grade would have been up.
That's true.
So if those of you who saw it in the movies, leave a comment as well. Tell us what was the funniest part in the movie theater in this movie. Please leave a comment. Engage with us.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty.
All right, folks.
Good night.